Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, great. Can you see my next slide also?
Yes.
Okay, great. So yeah, thank you all for being here. Today's topic is, you all know, from data to decisions, how analytics, metrics design, storytelling influence real business outcomes. So before getting started, I want to give a quick intro about me. I am Anusha, working as a business intelligence engineer at Amazon. Um, I've graduated from Michigan Technological University in 2024 and have a total of 5 years of experience working with data. Um, so now some of you might wondering that what business intelligence engineer means, or it might look a fancy name to you, right? So what do I do exactly? I build data models, metrics, dashboards, reports, data pipelines, and analyze data and explain what's happening and why it's happening, and what business decisions what business need to do so that the stakeholders or the leadership knows what take better decisions actually. And I also work closely with product managers, program managers, vendor managers, account managers, and so on. Yeah, so this is a bit about me, and so now we all know what I do. Here's what we are going to talk about today. First, we will understand like what good analysis often fails, to create impact. Second, how to design metrics that actually drive the right behaviors. And third, you will understand why storytelling is important and framework to master it. So before getting started, I want to stop if I'm going fast while presenting, um, and or raise a hand. Okay, now let's get started. So why are we here actually? Why this session actually matters to all of you? Nowadays, we are having smartphones and we are generating more and more data with the apps, transactions, and clicks or traffic and so on, right? And yet, most of the decisions that inside that are made inside the organizations or in the corporate world are still driven by instinct, gut instinct. So but which means like whoever is loudest in the room, or like whoever is more tenured in the room, they might be taking gut decisions sometimes. So the gap, where is the gap? Like the gap isn't in the tools. It's there are plenty of good tools like dashboards, simulations, pipelines, warehouses, and all. But the gap is in communication and clarity. We are failing. We are not failing at um, collecting data, but we are actually failing at turning that into decisions, good decisions. Okay, now that we are having a lot of we know that why this session is there, now we can understand like what's happening in the real world, and we'll see how we can go forward. um to be honest with you all, whatever the strong analysis or like very beautiful analysis we make out there, it's not equal to what business impact we are making. So I have seen beautiful analysis which are technically very strong, but that changed nothing to the business outcomes. So most analytics efforts or analysis efforts fail not during the analysis, but it's out. It's after the analysis has happened. The hardest part is not crunching the numbers, but the hardest part is like getting someone to act on them. So now the real challenge, what I want to focus today in front of all of you is, can we, it's not like asking, can we analyze this? But it's like, can we influence a decision with this, with whatever the analysis we have? So that's what we are focusing today. And coming to the next topic, it's like, why does analysis or analytics fails, is failing, or is fails these days? So there might, like, what I have observed from my years of experience is, uh, there are four kind of patterns which I see most repeatedly. First is, we answer interesting questions, not useful ones, which means like, we might be having a tons of data right out there, and we have, like, we kind of find interesting patterns and like present it to the audience. But are they looking into, are they wanting um, that kind, those interesting patterns, or like, do they want their business questions to be answered or their business problems to be solved, right? So it's not like, it's tempting to dive into that curious trend, but curiosity doesn't always lead to an action. Second is like, the metrics we choose, like, we might, those might push into the wrong behaviors. Remember this part, like, I'll come back to this in the future slides, because this is one of the most powerful and most important or most overlooked things I want to focus in this session. Third is, stakeholders don't trust or understand the data. If someone doesn't follow your logic, they won't follow your recommendation. Fourth, no, if there is no clear recommendation out of your analysis or dashboard, it just ends. There is no, it, like, your effort has gone in vain. So if there is no so what, or like, no now what in your presentation, right, it doesn't help your analytics. So that's why, though these are the common reasons what I have observed, and might fail because of these. So now we will learn three skills in our presentation. First is decision first thinking. So here is the first shift I want all of you to make. Every single project, no matter what, it may be big or small, it should start with one question: what decision will this, or this analysis what I'm making, will help someone make, right? Not like what's interesting in this data, not what can we measure out of this data, but what decision is on the table and how can this analysis inform it. You want, like, you should be thinking on these lines every time whenever you start a project. If you can't answer this question of like what decision that the stakeholders, or like whoever the project leaders want, don't go forward with the project. First clarify that from whoever you are giving the project from. So if you don't start asking that question every time, if you don't get answer at the start, go back and dig deeper into the clarifying questions. This is the first important thing I want to give to you all guys today. It's not about what metrics you deliver. It's not what about what storytelling you are going to tell after after your presentation, but if your decision, what you are understanding is wrong, if your problem statement, what you're understanding is wrong at the starting step, all the analysis which you are doing based on that would be wrong. So understand like think about what decision your analysis is going to solve, and align on that with the stakeholders first, and then go ahead and start. Next, let's take an example here. So you might be given, let's say, customer reviews data. So you have that data in your hand, right? Now that you have all the data, you will be, prompted, or like you'll be thinking to go ahead and, start with all analyzing all the data. But what you shouldn't do is, uh, don't go to the data. Understand the problem first, understand that question, or understand the decision, what the business people need to make from the data. So here in the corporate world, if I want to tell you, there are tons of data sets, there are tons of tables out there, but based on your use case or based on your problem, right, the metrics change, the uh, analysis, what want to build out of it, or what data models or what data tables you want to build out of those data sets will totally change. So you need to understand that question first, or you need to understand what decision that business people need to answer from your analysis. So now, one question what they might be looking to answer from this type of data is, um, should we invest in improving the packaging, right? Let's say if they want to invest in packaging, right, uh, go ahead and analyze the data based on whether there are any returns data mentioning reviews mentioning the returns based on packaging. Let's say 18% of returns, all the returns were saying that there were packaging issues. So that's where you found out, you can tell that as an insight, or tell that as a recommendation to the business people, saying that, this is this much is the percentage I found out that the customers are returning the products because of the packaging issues, so you need to invest on it. So that's how you need to approach your first skill before starting any project. Next, so summarizing this, the weakest approach or the weaker approach you shouldn't be taking out here is, you shouldn't be creating more and more charts, or like more and more clutter on your dashboard without any recommendation or conclusion. You should be thinking every time in these lines, that what is a problem you want to solve, what insight I can give you from the data, what recommendation I can provide you from the data. So if you think on these lines every time when you solve a project, your project would be adopted faster, you will be growing faster in your organization. So now the focus or the mindset shift you want to make is like, see, these are all the things I found from the data, to like, this is the one thing that matters to you, and this is what you should be actioning on it. So that's how you need to shift your approach from. So one more thing also what I want to say is like, um, here, like, how much less amount of uh, 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 you know uh, less amount of presentation, or like what less amount of data you want to present to the leaders out there, that is very much more to them. You should be very concise, very to the point, right, whenever you are presenting. But there might be a lot of data which you have already done, or what you have already kept efforts from. You don't need to explain everything to the people out there. You should be to the point, what recommendations you want to give to them, and that's it. But when they ask follow-up questions, you can go back and um, go back and dig the data or dig the insights which you have already there, right? So keep all those back of your table, and to the table you need to bring only that single recommendation or single insight. And that's for skill number one. Now going deep into starting with skill number two, which is how to design your metrics, how to make them powerful, how to select your metrics. So um, here like I want to start with the statement that uh, uh, that might reframe how you think about metrics. Metrics are not just don't just measure performance, they shape it. Think about it, like the number you put on the dashboard, right, or the KPI you present to the leadership, it's it doesn't just reflect what's happening, it actually or actively influences what people are going to do in the next coming days, right? So you should be thinking in that mindset. So people optimize exactly what you measure. If you measure speed, people will focus on speed, sometimes at the expense of everything else. You are measuring that, but that's not their laziness, it's just human behavior. And if we are designing the metrics, we need to take that very seriously. And coming to a example where we call this as a bad metric. Imagine you have a supply chain team, right, measuring maybe average delivery time, which sounds reasonable, like a supply chain team measuring how good they are delivering the products to the customers, right? um, Faster deliveries and happy customers, you might think this metric is doing good and all, but look actually what happens. There might be edge cases like the difficult deliveries, and which are the ones that take longer for legitimate reasons, like those might be getting ignored or deprioritized because they drag the average delivery time down, right? Because that's an average. So um, one more thing also what you need to keep in mind is teams might start gaming this metric, like they might exclude some of the orders, or they rush in the ways that cut corners. And ultimately, like, what happens? The customer experience suffers, the business suffers, right? So because the metric was optimizing for the speed, it's not for the customer. So this is a metric which looks good on the paper, but it quietly destroys the business or destroys the customer experience. So now, how to build a good metric, how to choose better metrics, or how to design better metrics. Good metrics every time align with the real goals, not operational targets. So the outcomes which actually matter to the business and the customer, that's where you need to select the metrics or design the metrics which are called as a good metric. So let's take the previous example, which is average delivery time. What if we tweak that metric, saying, I mean, if we calculate the metric for percentage of orders delivering within a time window, suddenly what do you recognize from this metric is tied to a commitment we made to the customer, right? It's not just internal speed. Or we can think about one more metric, saying like the late delivery rate. Here you can define the late as 1 day late, 2 day late. It depends on your use case or your business goal, right? But percentage of orders being delivered more than 1 day late or 2 day late, That's where you are building customer experience, or like your metric is aligned to that customer experience, or your metric is aligned to the business, or like improving the business, right? So from this late delivery metric, what you are getting is you are understanding where you can say that what very late means, or slightly late means. So that kind of differentiation you can do, and you can tell business like where to prioritize, to slightly late or like very late delivery orders. So this shift in the business will make a lot of impact. That's how you need to select metrics. And one more point also what I want to mention is, for the same data set which you will be selecting on, there might be multiple metrics you can create out of it. So it totally depends on whatever the decision first thinking we have spoken previously, right? So based on that decision, what you align on with the project owners or the stakeholders, that will be the input to the metric selection. And coming to whether you have to test whether you have selected a right metric or not, whether you have selected a good metric or a best metric or not. These are the questions which I would ask myself when I am doing my projects. uh, First is what decision does this metric support, or what behavior does this encourage, or what could by selecting this metric, if can someone misuse this. So if you can't answer these three questions confidently, uh, the metric needs more thought, to be very honest. It takes just 30 seconds to run through this checklist, and it can save you months of optimizing the wrong thing or wrong metric which you are displaying out on the dashboard. Yeah, that's about metric design and decision first thinking. Now coming to your our thinking about skill number 3, which is insight and storytelling, which is the most interesting and important part. So till now we have talked about decisions and metrics, right? So what connects them? It is the insight. And I want to start drawing a line between that gets buried all the time, which is like data is not the same as insight. Like data shows, what I want to say is data shows you like what happened, but insight explains you why it happened and why it matters. Decisions require insight and not raw numbers, right? A dashboard can be full of metrics, might be informative, but it's rarely actionable on its own. The moment of the value comes when someone interprets the data and says like, here is what it means, here is what we should do. Yeah. So yeah. Reiterate what I've said in this slide is, um, decisions require insight, not like just raw numbers. Like you might be showing a lot of metrics on your dashboard which might be very informative, but those won't drive actionable insights of actionable outcomes out of it. So that's where storytelling is very, very important, and you should be practicing that skill a lot. And this skill, you will not be getting it in one day or in a night. You should be practicing with every project you do. Like you should be getting better and better. That's how you will be influencing the decisions, and you'll be getting very important in your organization. Like you will be recognized, is what I meant to say. Okay. Now, so now that we have talked about insight, and all, what do you mean by strong insight? So what I used to follow, or I used to, have a framework in my mind whenever I deliver, uh, um, you know, uh, a recommendation, or like whenever I thought I, I have an insight. This is what I used to think about, like on these lines. Can my insight say what changed, or why it changed, why it actually matters, um, to the business, and what should be done next or not? If my insight doesn't, is missing any of these four pieces, right, I used to go back and rethink, or reorganize my thoughts again and again, or like dig deep into the data if I didn't get a clearer insight. So whenever, I get, checklisted by these four, points, then I say it as a strong insight, and then I go and present it to the leadership. That's how, I, based on my several projects, this is how, I developed myself. And let's take an example to understand the previous framework. Imagine you are looking into, quarterly sales data, and you see that, sales have dropped by, 12% or 11% last quarter. So this part is called what, like what happened here. What happened is, like, sales has dropped by 12%, last quarter. So that's what. Now you will be going to the data and dig deep into understanding, like, why did it happen, right? You might be having set of, like, several hypotheses, like, one hypothesis can be, delivery delays increased. Some another hypothesis is number of customers are not purchasing, or like, uh, uh, maybe the prices have increased on the, the portal, so that's why the customers are not purchasing. So all, you might have a set of hypotheses in place, and you need to test it out to understand the why part of it, right? So let's take our hypothesis as, delivery delays increased, and according to the data I see that, the delay, um, uh, the average amount of delay has increased when we are delivering. So customer weren't getting orders on time. Okay. And this hypothesis testing is very important, and this why part, if you, you know recognize it, or like, you identify the why part, that's when you go to the next steps of, like, I mean, telling what should be done next to the stakeholders, or like what recommendation you want to give to the leadership. If you don't have that why part in place, your recommendation part would go wrong. So um, let's say, you have identified there are fewer number of, customers are coming back to purchasing your orders, I mean, to purchasing your products. uh, this means that, repeat purchase has, rates have dropped. Repeat customers is where, you will be getting more and more revenue, long term revenue, right? So if those repeat customers are dropped, your, revenue will be dropping. So what should you do next? That's where your recommendation part comes. Now here, you might be giving the recommendation as, prioritizing, or like, setting up agreements with more reliable suppliers, right? If your suppliers are not going, I mean, not delivering fast to the customers, then, you should change the suppliers itself. So that's one of the recommendation, but you can think of many, right? So That's how you need to build a story or build an insight out of what you have identified from your data. You need to, reiterating again here, like you need to understand what you have identified, why you have what is the reason behind that drop or that increase or something, like what is the metric that has changed and why it has changed. So testing the hypothesis, and if your hypothesis is matching, then you can give the recommendation. You need not give one recommendation, you might give 2 to 3 recommendations to the leaders, and that's where they are going to decide. Yeah. So now that we have understood like how to create a good insight, or how to create a good insight, we, let's see like why dashboards actually fail. So we might be have seen like in our projects, or like whenever you're participating in datathons or hackathons and all, like only some people get recognized, right? Or some people get prizes, not all. So why do dashboards fail? There might be a lot of metrics on the dashboard, cluttering, and there might be a lot of colors being used, a lot of charts that might be there on the dashboard. But what do people see? If people the audience shouldn't be seeing on the data, seeing on the dashboard, and figuring out like which chart should I see, or which where like what should I see, what recommendation would I get out of it. It shouldn't be of that sort. So there shouldn't be too many metrics on the screen, which, if there are too many metrics, it will be creating noise. We don't know where to go and see, right? So even though if our dashboard is very, very beautiful, there is no clear ownership of action. So what should we do to make our dashboards uh, uh, be better? So one tip what I would like to give you here is, whenever you are creating visuals, whenever you are creating charts, graphs, anything, one chart should be giving should be answering one question. That's it. Highlight the takeaway. Like, don't make the audience hunt for the point. If the chart is about a drop in the sales, make the drop obvious. Use color, use annotations, or like just just on the title itself, like make it clear like what this chart is saying, or like what matters from that visual, right? And remove anything that's distracting. Every element on the slide should earn its place. If it doesn't support your story, cut it. That's how based on my experience, i I was brutal when I'm building out the dashboards. um, I had multiple meetings with the people, multiple feedbacks I got, and that's how I built out this skill of building out the dashboards, or building out the analysis, building out the insights and all. So these are the things which helped out for me, which will also help out for you as well, if you practice them daily. Next coming to storytelling. um, you have created a dashboard now, right? But dashboards always don't do the job. What does the job is your storytelling. If your dashboard is out there, you might be going, I mean, like the stakeholders shouldn't come to you to and figuring it out like what is happening on the dashboard, right? You should be explaining them what insight or the recommendation you need to they need to take for their business problems to solve. So decision makers like don't remember dashboards, they remember stories. a well told story, right, creates urgency. It makes problem feel real, immediate, and it builds trust. That's what you should um, build for yourself in the industry. And this is not like storytelling is not like being dramatic or like making things up, right? It's about, I'm not talking about that. It's about structuring your findings in a way, like it guides like someone from I don't know to what, like I know what exactly to do from the insight out of it, or the dashboard out of it, right? That's how you need to um, help them make. And always think on the back of the mind, like whatever explaining, whatever you are explaining to the people or audience out there, can I explain this to a 5-year-old kid, right? Can he understand? If he can understand, then you're doing a great job. Otherwise, like, you need to be very very concise, um, or explain clearly in a way that they can understand, right? Now that we have talked about why storytelling helps, right, let's take an example and see here. So what I uh, like I built out a mental story structure, story like building from whatever the experience I had, by when you're communicating data to to the people out there. So mainly it contains 4 parts. First is context, like which means like why does it matter, whatever you are telling, right, to the audience, like why does it matter right now? Set the scene. Give the audience a reason to care before you show them anything. Second is like create tension, like what is the risk, what could go wrong if you don't act. This is where it creates urgency, right? And the third thing is evidence, like let's say you have created context and you have created tension in them. How do you prove yourself, that whatever you have told above are correct? You need to prove that with the evidence, the data. You should show them, um, you know like, I mean, whatever whatever you are presenting, like have data backed up, so that they will be trusting you. And fourth is like resolution, what should happen next. This is the recommendation part, this is the action part, this is the decision part, right? Where people are looking forward to hear you from. If you have these four, something like a star format, when you're going out to the interviews, right, you will be having situation, task, action, recommendation in mind, right? Something of that sort. You are having context, tension, evidence, and resolution is some sort of framework I built out, which helps me. And okay, now you have like uh, you know mm, whatever I have said, like skill 1, skill 2, skill 3, whatever out there, right? If you follow that, you would be you will be a great data analyst or business intelligence engineer. This would help you from breaking apart from good analyst to a great analyst, because this is not a technical skill. This is the uh, you know something of a like what communication skill which you want to practice on a daily basis. So it's thinking in terms of decisions from like the very start. It's designing metrics thoughtfully, like with the awareness of the behaviors they will shape. It's communicating clearly and not just accurately but persuasively. And it's always like whatever story you are telling, it should always end up with a recommendation. And these are all not advanced skills, these are like daily habits you need to build out, and anyone in this room can start building out from today. And how you as a student can apply these: first, uh, think about the projects which you have already done. Go back to them, think about whether you have applied in these lines or not. If not, go ahead and revamp those. Second is like, whatever the projects which you are building out from today, apply these frameworks, and see what and explain those to the non-technical audiences, like whatever the recommendations you have, explain those to the non-technical audiences and see whether they are understanding or not. Compare whatever you have done previously, when you are explaining previous projects insights to the people, and what now when you apply these frameworks, and now you explain those, how do you feel, what are the reactions from them? That's where you can see the difference, right? One more point what I want to highlight here is, there might be assumptions when you are like doing when you are creating all these stories and all. Explicitly mention those. Don't think like assumptions might be if you state assumptions, it might be like you will be weak and all. If you don't say the assumptions, it will be coming up as a follow-up question, then it won't look good, right? You should state the assumptions clearly at the starting point itself. So that's how, as a student, I would do. And wrapping up, coming to an end, let's see the key takeaways from this presentation. Again, it will be the same. Analytics matters only like when you drive action. If your analysis is not like connected to a decision, it's incomplete. Second is like metrics shape behavior. Choose them with intention, and because people will optimize whatever you measure. Insights require interpretation. Data alone doesn't tell you what to do. Someone has to bridge that gap. And storytelling, turns data into decisions. Structure the communication, create urgency, and always end up with a clear next step. And that's a journey of from data to decisions. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to explain this. And feel free to connect me on LinkedIn. I think Anushka or Ria would share my LinkedIn details with you. If not, I can share here in the chat, and I'll open up this session for questions.
Yeah, I'll just introduce myself to everyone and Anusha. I'm also part of Dubstack. I just took over from Anushka and Ria because they had something to do, but that was a wonderful presentation, Anusha. I'm pretty sure learned a lot, and I'm pretty sure the rest of the audience did learn a lot from your presentation. And yeah, let's open the floor up for any questions. If anyone has, they can pop it into the chat, or if they want to raise their hand, or if they just want to speak out, they're welcome to. So does anyone have any questions? Yeah, Micah.
Earlier, it was mentioned that when making a metric, a reason why we should pay attention to how we make it is that people will game the metric. I just want to understand that a little bit better, and if I can get an example, that'd be great.
Yeah. To reiterate again, right, with that, same example. I mean, so let's say you are taking that average delivery time as a metric and displaying on the dashboard, right? So now what happens? What do you mean by average first? Let's say, even though, I mean, some delivery times might be high, some delivery times might be very low. Let's say delivery time is 2 hours for one order delivery, and for the another delivery, the delivery time might be 50 hours, let's say. So now the average becomes, 26 or so, right? So now we are ignoring that 26 part. 50 hours part, right? Whenever we are doing it an average, it becomes a median. In the middle ground. We are not considering the outliers, or like where the business should focus. Business doesn't know if we are not telling that there are outliers, there are long delivery times. I'm just taking here delivery time as an example, but that's what I want to say. Like, if as a analyst you don't um, expose that there are outliers or there are long delivery times to the business stakeholders, they don't know that somewhere the business is going wrong, right? And like people might game, like which means say a TPM of speed, right? He might be saying that my speed is going very good, my speed is doing good in the business. But what it really means is what is happening in practically is, it is not like there are some deliveries which are happening uh, taking a long time to deliver to the customers. So that point we are missing, and the business stakeholder is also not saying that some deliveries are taking a lot of time. So that's where the uh, complete picture we are not giving to the top leaders. That's where the stakeholders might game or might change the story. That's what I meant there.
I think there are some questions in the chat.
How do you handle situations where stakeholders can't clearly articulate the decision they need to make? If I will probe more and more questions, like why did they come to me first with a request, right? Without if they don't want to take a decision out of whatever the reporting I need to do, why did they come to me, right? That's where I would ask them, I would probe them a lot before prioritizing or taking up that task. If there is no decision they need to make, I wouldn't prioritize or work on that request. I would prioritize more business impact requests first, and then later, if I have time, if they want to just view the data, I'll take that up at last. But even then I would probe and ask more questions. If they can't answer, right, I'll go to their managers. I'll understand more of the problem first by going to the top leadership. That's how I would handle it. According to you, what are the top skills required for yeah for me, what helped is like practicing SQL daily. On lead code, maybe like easy to medium questions, or like there are websites out there which are having these top FANG questions that might be asked in SQL. So that's how I will practice SQL. That is a topmost skill for BI engineer or data scientist or data engineer or everyone out there. And the next one, which is an important skill and will be tested upon in the FANG companies, are like, how do you approach a problem? How do you create a KPI? How do you create a metric? When they might be asking you a vague question in the interviews, and they will be asking you to create a like what KPIs you want to report from this question. So and what kind of charts you want to build out of it. How do you explain your thoughts to the or story? How do you explain all the insights you want to bring to the table to the leadership? So these are the skills they will be testing out. And one more skill which is also very important is, because it's a BI engineer, which is business intelligence engineer, you need to understand the business domain as well, right? So again, they will be asking vague question about the business, and how they'll be asking you how would you go about in solving this. There won't be right or wrong answers, but it's like your thought process, your thinking is what they're understanding. Are you having a uh, you know approach, like a step-by-step approach in solving it, or you're scrambling around or not? So it's all about your business understanding. And coming to your second question, it's not like AI is impacting. We are taking the help of AI to solve problems. And before AI, we used to take maybe 5 days for a project to be done. Now we are taking 3 or 2 days to to be done, right? So that's how AI is helping us to move faster in our projects. Hope it helps. How do you validate that a metric is truly aligned and relevant with the decision it's going to support? Yeah, that's where you need to understand the problem statement correctly with the uh, uh, whoever you are working with. Explain them, like, what is your thought process. First understand the problem statement, then explain your understanding of if you select a metric, explain them like, this is my thought process of selecting the metric. Would by this metric selection, what this problem is going to solve, would that help you? Would that help you solve that business problem, right? This is how the conversations with you and the stakeholders should be, to understand to get more adoption to whatever you are building it. And when business and customer metrics conflict, okay, how do you decide which one to prioritize? I think, based on my experience, those are the same. What one thing I would also say is, in our MBRs or like in WBRs, we would be reporting the business metrics, like how is the business growing, how is it going good or bad. That's where we report business metrics. But customer metrics we report to when we are going into deep dives, right? That's where we actually report customer metrics. And mostly we won't report business metrics at that point of time, because we want to understand how customers are doing for that program or product we are launching, right? So this is how, based on the reporting, I would select the metric. Have you seen cases where reframing the decision changed then? What do you mean by reframing the decision? Okay, so what I understand from that question is, a request has come to me saying that problem one needs to solve. But after delivering that request, maybe the stakeholder doesn't want that problem. That's not a problem at all for now. Maybe there is another problem to be solved. So at that point of time, yes, we should be our entire analysis would be changed, and our metric selection and data modeling, everything would change. So Yes, there is an example. What I would, I mean, to be maintain confidentiality, I'll give a vague, example here. So recently, what happened is, uh, I was given a task, to there was already reporting existing, and I was given a task to solve it. Solve on top of that. But what I observed is, based on the problem statement which the stakeholder has asked, with the reporting already existing, right? I don't need to build like extra reporting out of, or extra metric out of it. There is already a report existing which is not getting highlighted. So what I have done is, I gone back into the reporting which is already existing and explained it to the or dig deep into the, like, what is going wrong in that, maybe whether the metric is wrong, or like the numbers in the reporting are wrong. Maybe I'm not, the stakeholder is not trusting the data. That's why he has come to me and want to create a different reporting out of it. So that's where I understood the problem statement first, requirement first, and went back to the uh, um, you know solutioning part later, and revamped the existing report. I hope that answers your question. Rafil, how do you communicate uncertainty in insights without weakening the recommendation? That's an interesting question. So to answer to that question, right? So in the framework which I've said, like, what is the problem and why it is a problem, right? In why part, you would be having multiple hypotheses, not one hypothesis. So you might not be knowing um, like uh, like what is going wrong. So you will be going back into proving your multiple hypotheses. You might be ruling out some, you might be having the data to back up some hypothesis, but you don't have data to back up other hypothesis, right? So at that point, what you can go ahead and tell your stakeholder is, maybe we don't have data at this point of time to prove that hypothesis. Maybe that might also be good to consider. Those hypotheses are also meaningful to consider, but you might maybe you don't have the data. So where can you secure the data to prove your hypothesis? That's how the talk should be. Yeah. Any more questions? Does that answer my question, all of your questions, like Poonam, Srinia, Rafil?
Poonam has a question.
Yeah, I just have a follow-up question. Like you said that AI is helping currently in your role. So, like, if you can share some more insight on that, like where, in which part of your like work maybe it's helping, and what kind of tools like you guys are using.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry, I'm in library, so just talking on a bit low voice. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So first part is some tools we have internally here. Like, I can't name those, but what those tools does is, like, we can ask natural language questions, something like ChatGPT, and it gives the SQL directly. So we don't need to see code as well. So, like, let's say I get a request from a stakeholder, right? I know the tables and all, but I don't know how to write a SQL for that. Let's say it's ambiguous. Then I go to that tool and prompt it, and it gives me the whole SQL part. So that's the part which made me very easy. For me, it's helping a lot. But for you guys, when you are stepping into the industry, at least you need to give out that SQL assessment and all. But as AI is there nowadays, if you step into the industry, there are tools to help out in writing good SQL. Also, in terms of optimizing that SQL, whatever it has given, that is also doing a better job. Like you don't need to sit down and optimize the query again. And the next part is next part what I would say is selecting the metrics, right? Every part what I have said here, right, every part can be internally we can ask an AI tool, but you need to have that human judgment in validating the data. In like it can write queries but it can't validate the data. That's where human comes in. And like it can in selecting metrics also, like it can give a bunch of metrics, right? But you let's say for that problem statement you are entering in, it has given 5 metrics out of it. So you need to think strategically to understand what metric aligns most to the problem. So that's where, like, when validation comes, it becomes a like human need to step in. Otherwise, like for the initial parts, when you are starting to work on the project, uh, uh, it is doing a very good job, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that should be all the questions. Does anyone have any last final questions they want to ask? Okay. Yeah. Again, thank you so much, Anusha, for this wonderful presentation and this Q&A session. I think everyone learned quite a bit or even a lot. I personally, I'm interested in data analytics, and this Power BI and business intelligence role is definitely new to me. So I definitely learned a lot and how I can translate that to applying for internships. So thank you very
Yeah.
much. And yeah, I hope you all had a great time. We do have another talk next tomorrow, which is about AI agents with Gaurav, who's also in Amazon. So if you guys want to join that, please make sure to check the Discord or Instagram. But again, thank you so much, Anusha. And the recordings will be sent out on Discord. So if anyone wants to go back on the recordings, then they can find it on Discord or YouTube.
Yeah, please do connect me on LinkedIn, or like if you have any questions, reach out to me on Discord or so. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. All right, thank you all. We'll be ending this session.
Thank you. Thank you all. Have a great week. Good night and good evening and all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bye.